How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia, where we're having a Sachi date. This is date number 2, going to the beach, I suppose. I think I feel like we do lots of beaches for dates. I guess it makes sense, though, if you're going to a school on a coast. Maybe that's the big reason why, but I'm still excited. We've got some cool stuff that's happening. With Sachi, watching her character develop has actually been really, really enjoyable, because it's literally develop. That's like, normally you say develop in a story for a character and it's like, oh, you kind of look at them go through different situations, watch how they react, and kind of helps you understand them better as a character. But for Sachi, it's almost like we're watching her understand herself better, and we gotta get to be along for the ride and learn who she is as well, which is really cool. It's a fun concept to work with as a with a character. It's something I feel like it would be difficult to write, and make it feel meaningful and not very like try hard, I guess. That might be the term I would want to use. Like, it's a difficult thing to execute, and I feel like it's doing a really good job of it, because I'm just super hyped. So we got to see, as she's been like exploring and questioning things and wanting to express herself differently, that we've seen her starting to actively approach people, asking them for help, questions, and like what their opinions are, and guidance for herself. And the last one we saw was with Michiru. And she's saying, like, hey, like, should I dress up as something different rather than the maid? And Michiru's like, yeah, absolutely, especially if Yuuji helped you buy clothes. Which was cool, because, again, like, Yuuji bought her clothes because he wanted to give her a gift, and he was kind of hoping that she would be able to kind of express what she liked and maybe consider wearing that. And so if she comes busting out here just wearing casual clothes, that's going to be so cool. And I'm really, really happy to see this, and I want to see where this goes. I feel like I'm making lots of like S sounds, like we always do when you're speaking, but like it's sticking out to me. So do I sound weird? Like, maybe it's just me. Maybe the microphone's picking up stuff. I don't know. I don't get it. Regardless of that, I'm excited for today. So we're going to jump into it and see how this date goes. 3 minutes left. I'm waiting for Sachi just outside the gate where we'd arranged to meet up earlier this morning. Sounded like Michiru was in her room for a few minutes ago, but I doubt Sachi'd let hold her up. That said, we've got to get going pretty soon or we won't catch the bus. I mutter to myself and glance at my watch, but in the next instant, there's a trotting sound of footsteps approaching from the direction of the dorm. Yep. There's literally a trotting sound. Precise on time as always. Oh my gosh, here it comes. Ah! Huh? Look at that. It's so simple. But for seeing Sachi, it's so cute. Because it's like, she just dressed up like how she might want to. That's the best part. Is it's like, aw, that's just cool. Like, it's so weird to say that. Like, it's such a bizarre thing to get so excited and hyped up about. But it absolutely is hype. I love it. I turn around and find myself face to face with an unknown individual. Every frame is just adorable. Who are you supposed to be? True, you did an impressive job reproducing your face, but there's a fundamental flaw in your little disguise. The Sachi I know always wears a maid uniform. Aww, that's so cool! Say what? Alright, don't jump to conclusions. Let's just say she isn't lying. Is there any other way to explain this? Did someone spike my tea? Yes, but Yuuji needs to quickly explain that he's not disappointed. Downright shocking. Almost as bad as that one time where everyone else at the table started pouring sugar onto their natto instead of the salt. Is it? Huh. Considering her demeanor and willingness to roll with the conversation, it seems like this really must be the genuine Sachi. But seriously, I don't think I've ever had a simple change of clothes completely transform my impression of someone like this before. In her school uniform, she comes off as well-bred class rep type. In her other uniform, she's the picture of the maid. But this Sachi before my eyes is the girl I knew when I was young. It's like I'm staring at a vivid memory from the days when she'd pull me around the playground. She's very adorable, by the way. Like, I think it's really interesting because maybe it's a personal taste thing, but the maid uniform, it looks fine. And the school uniform is the school uniform, right? I genuinely think that this is the most, like, I don't know, attractive she's looked as a character. Her design has been the most, like, impactful and just pretty. And I feel like it's nothing really that different, except maybe it's more about what it symbolizes rather than simply like a character design thing. Because the character designs for this game have been fantastic, and like for every character really. But I think for Sachi, it's like it's not just like, oh, this outfit looks really good on her, which it does, but it's also just the fact that it symbolizes so much like growth and like individualism, which we haven't really seen. That's probably what makes it feel more beautiful.
それで、私が小峰幸だということは分かっていただけたでしょうか?
Yeah, I am. But why'd you suddenly take off in the maid uniform?
それは、ゆうくんがやっぱりメイド服かと口にすることが多かったからです。
Yeah, just said what I was thinking.
なので、メイド服以外の格好、ゆうくんに買っていただいた服を着ている私も見ていただこうと思ったんです。
See, and like, it's part of you, there's always that little hesitance of like, is this really her? But like, I feel like this is the closest we got, because she's like saying, I decided to change the way I look in the clothes you bought me. Like, he didn't tell her, I don't want you to be wearing the maid outfit. He simply made a comment on that, oh, so you're still wearing a maid outfit, huh? And she's like, kind of listened to that, and she made a decision saying, you know what, I don't want to wear the maid outfit right now. I see. Most likely, this nicely coordinated outfit has something to do with Michiru's visit to Sachi's room just now. Not even a day after she got sex advice from Sakaki. Come to think of it, wouldn't have guessed it at first, but it seems the school is packed full of helpful types.
それに、ゆうくんはその服はお前が着たいと思った時に着てくれればいいと言ってくれました。
That's true. So it's kind of an order, but the thing is, like, the nature of the order is really, really clever, because he said, hey, you should wear them when you feel like it. Don't wear them because I said so. Wear it because you want to. And she's like, yeah, I want to.
私が可愛い服を着たいと思う時、
Aww.
それがゆうくんと海でデートができる今日だったんです。
Dang, that's pretty sweet. For the first time since I entered Mahima Academy, Sachi's wearing something other than a uniform. And her motivation is the simple desire to show me how she looks in other clothes. I should probably be celebrating her taking such clear action on her own initiative, but to be perfectly honest, I'm happier to know that she wanted to look nice for my benefit. I see. Thanks, Sachi.
いえ、私の方こそこんなに可愛い服が着れて嬉しいですから。
Oh my gosh. It's funny. I don't think it's a coincidence, I'm guessing, but like for some reason, like I just had this weird flashback to Yakuza 0 of all things. Did the voice actor for Sachi do a voice for that? Because I swear I've heard her say like part of that line sounded like something I've heard repeatedly in Yakuza 0 for some reason. I don't know why. I muss Sachi's hair around with my hand and her face goes slightly pink. They're pretty sporty clothes, more or less the exact opposite of the maid uniform, but it actually works for you. You look good.
それは本当でしょうか?
She's so earnest. Aww. As soon as I express my thoughts, Sachi closes the distance between us in the blink of an eye, a serious expression on her face. Yeah. Might sound a little overblown, but the clothes look so natural on her that I'd almost believe that she'd been dressing like this all along. I agree. It really fits her. Of course, that's probably because I've still got a vivid mental image of the way she was as a kid. I mean, you know I'm not much good at flattery, right?
そうですね。ゆうくんのお世辞は皮肉になってしまう場合が多いですから。
That's probably because most of the time it was sarcasm. Well, that's how it is.
でも、 ゆうくんに似合っていると言われるのは
Aww.
嬉しいです。
Even as she speaks, there's an irrepressible, energetic grin on her face. It's not like her, in a good way. It's like I've caught a glimpse of the real Sachi, the person hidden behind her iron wall of self-denial. Perfectly fine with me if that's enough to make you happy, but the date hasn't even started yet.
はい、どんなデートになるのか今からとても楽しみです。
Aww.
ずっと
Aww.
この日のままで穏やかな笑顔だけ見ていたい。
It's so sweet, but I immediately just had my stomach drop because I'm like, oh, this is too much happiness. It's like, but we're in a story, and so like something bad's gonna happen. I don't think it'll happen on the date, but I'm guessing now that she's become more and more expressive, she's slowly going to lose the protection, because that's the whole idea. Is like the reason why she was following orders so like rigidly, remember, was a protection against her own mental break. The self-blame and self-hatred that came from thinking that she was the reason why, like, she lost everything. And so I'm terrified that's what's gonna happen now, but you know what? For now, we'll just pretend that feeling isn't going to likely be a manifestation and just enjoy the date. Unlike our group trip before summer break, today we caught a crosstown bus for a shaky ride to the sea. When we arrive, Sachi trots out into the beach with a few strides ahead of me. Watching as she crouches down to play with the waves while softly singing her favorite song, I conclude that her good humor hasn't been dampened by the journey. Sounds like you're in a good mood, Sachi.
はい、これからゆうくんがサメさんと血みどろの死闘を繰り広げるかと思うと自然と胸が高鳴ってしまいます。
Yeah, okay. This is definitely one of those cross story things because I actually just like made a note of how in every route I've been reading, somewhere she makes some kind of like allusion to sharks. She just loves them. Sorry to disappoint, but that's not going to happen ever.
ということはサメさんと敵対するのではなく種族間の垣根を越えた友達になる道を選ぶというわけですね。
Sure, we'll go with that.
さすがゆうくんです。ラブ&ピースです。
Okay, what? I'm not going to comment on your reasoning there, but if a shark shows up anywhere near the swimming area, they'd obviously keep everyone out of the water.
そういえばそうでした。
That's really not something you should look disappointed about. But anyway, Sachi's clearly much more fired up about this date than she was on the group trip. Can't exactly criticize her for being happy, even if her enthusiasm does tend to take slightly bizarre forms. I don't know, man. Sounds like you really should just take her on one of those, like, cage dives with sharks. Most people wouldn't want that. But I feel like Sachi would be, like, the best day of her life. Well, we're at the beach. So far, so good. What do you want to do first?
ゆうくんが望まれるなら私はどんな遊びでも構いませんよ。
Oh, come on. Like, do you have anything you want to do, Sachi? You've done a good roll so far. Even so, it seems she doesn't have any specific requests for me. Okay, let me ask you something. The trip before the break wasn't your first time at the beach, was it?
はい、まだ小さかった頃お父さんとお母さんに何度か連れて行ってもらったことがありますから。
So what sort of things did you do back then?
そうですね、浮き輪に乗って水かけっこをしたりお母さんと砂遊びをしていたと思います。
Alright, a water fight sounds like a decent place to start. Excuse me, sorry. Again, life's been getting busy. I kind of am recording at like different times than I used to, and downside is that I occasionally am more tired, but that's okay.
私はそれで全然問題ないのですが、ゆうくんの方こそ水かけっこで構わないんですか？
Sad to say, I'm pretty unfamiliar with this sort of thing. Since neither of us has any proposals of our own, following your parents' example sounds like a decent idea. You're always saying how much you love them, after all.
ゆうくん。
So, unless you have some objection to the plan, I guess we should get changed into our swimming suits. What do you say, Sachi?
もちろん、私は大賛成です。 お
Aww.
待たせしました。小峰幸水着バージョンです。
It's like you know it in the game. Stop it. The fourth wall breaking is terrifying. I think I said this before, though. I think out of like all the girls, Sachi's was probably the best swimming suit. I think it just suits her well. This looks good. Like, I think design-wise, I feel like the others were kind of like, I don't know. It's not, weird's not the right word, but like, it felt tropey almost. Sachi's is just a nice swimming suit. I settled down to wait after stripping to my swimming trunks, but it's not even 10 minutes before Sachi returns from the changing room. That was a pretty fast change of clothes by female standards.
はい、急いで着替えを済ませたので、何かが見えてしまっていても気にしないことにしました。
Fair enough. I really think that warrants some heed paying.
すみません。どうしても着替えにかける時間が惜しく感じてしまって。
Gosh darn it. It would be dangerous to try and date Sachi, I think, because you'd have to have like a very resolute like conviction, because she's very adorable and she's so willing to just go with the flow. Like, I really feel like for both you and her health, like you need to make sure you can keep your kind of your wits about you and not get too caught up in stuff. And I think Yuji's doing a good job of that. Huh. Well, now I've completely lost the will to lecture her. Guess I'm the typical male in some respects.
それから水着は前回と同じものになってしまったのですが、問題なかったでしょうか。
Come on, Sachi, we've been making good progress. It's okay if you're fine with it. That's all that matters. No need to worry about that. Novelty's always nice, but I don't mind you splashing the water into maid clothes or anything.
わかりました。ゆうくんがそうおっしゃるなら、メイド服の出番はまた今度ということで。
The amphibious maid uniform? Oh no. How did I know? Also, as a risk aversion measure, I'd like to avoid playing in densely occupied areas. Is that alright with you?
それはもしかして私の身を案じてのことでしょうか。
I mean, maybe. Yeah, no different from scuba diving or whatever. The first priority is making sure your buddy's safe.
バディ、つまりここでの私はゆうくんの相棒ということですね。
I think you've misunderstood slightly, but whatever. Unless you have an objection, how about we get going?
はい、心の準備はできています
Oh
の
my
で。
gosh. Oh my gosh.
もっと人気のない場所でも。
Sachi's little flight of delusion comes to an abrupt halt as we make our way past the beach house. She freezes on the spot, staring fixedly at a nearby stall. Something wrong?
見てください、ゆうくん。サメさんのフロートがレンタル中です。
She's sold. So they are. Okay, let's go.
見てください、ゆうくん。サメさんのフロートがレンタル中です。
She's like, we must get one. You can just say you want one. Muttering a mild exasperation, I hand over a few bills to the white-haired old man behind the counter.
すみません。このサメさんが橋の下に捨てられた猫さんのような瞳で私を見つめてくるもので。
Like I said, it's not even that she seems oddly like obsessed with sharks, but she's been obsessed with sharks in every route. It's been like mentioned in like every single one, even if it's just a little bit. This strikes me as slightly self-serving account of events.
しかも青ザメからシュモクザメまで取り揃えているとなると、どのサメさんにするか迷ってしまいます。
Don't seem very interested in the Sachi orca though.
だってシャチとサチって似てるじゃないですか。
Oh, Sachi and Shachi. Okay. Sachi and Shachi. I see. The girl seems to have a fairly unique method of classifying sea life.
決めました。今回はこのジンベエザメさんにすることにします。
Today's whale shark day. This girl, like, what is it? Is it History or Discovery that does Shark Week? Must be her favorite, like, time of the year. Sure about that?
はい、そうと決まれば早くこのサメさんを海に浮かべましょう。
Sounds like a plan. Oh my gosh.
見てください、ゆうくん。私、今サメさんに乗っています。
It's both adorable, but also heightens the whole, like, sometimes weird angles are a thing. It is very adorable, though. Oh my gosh. Like, it feels, like, too wholesome. Like, it's weirdly wholesome. Like, does that make sense? There's nothing wrong with wholesome. And even nothing unexpected. There's plenty of wholesome moments. But, like, for some reason, this just feels almost like pure wholesome, which is very bizarre. As we made our way out from the shallows, Sachi slides herself on top of the shark float and calls out in a happy tone of voice. So you are. Looks fun.
どうしたんですか、ゆうくん。さっきより元気がなくなっているみたいですが。
No, I think you've just gotten yourself worked up into a fever pitch.
確かにそうかもしれません。このサメさんにまたがってから、なんだか胸の高鳴りが止まりません。
Uh-oh, Yuuji, you might have competition.
例えるなら、こう三国志の豪傑呂布が石飛馬にまたがった時のような力強さが。
Interesting. I mean, kudos. A bit grandiose, but sure. He's like, okay. I've been wondering this for a while now, but why do you love sharks so much?
それを語り出すと2時間ほどかかってしまうのですが、よろしいですか？
Oh my gosh. Do me a favor and squeeze it down to 3 minutes?
わかりました。では簡潔に説明させていただきますが、私がお父さんとお母さんから初めて買ってもらったプレゼントがサメさんのぬいぐるみだったんです。
Okay, so that explains the initial. You wanted 2 hours to explain that.
いいえ、本来ならそこから私がどのような形でサメさんへの愛着を深めていったかのお話を。
Yeah, I think I'll pass on that, but the rest assured, I'm now fully convinced that you're a shark fanatic without peer.
ありがとうございます。
It's nice. She's like, thank you. He just called her a fanatic, and she's like, thank you. This must be how I feel with visual novels. When people are like, it's pretty clear you're obsessed with visual novels. I'm like, oh, thank you. Should you really be thanking me for that one? Well, we're fated to part with Mr. Shark here in only 3 short hours. Better enjoy it to the fullest while you can.
はい、サメさんとのコンビネーションを駆使してゆうくんに水をかけまくります。
Splash you into submission. Okay, I genuinely don't know which one I like more. This determined face or the happy face. They're both fantastic. Oh, art direction for this is fantastic. Very well. You'd better come at me with the determination of a marine storming Vietnam's fearsome iron triangle.
望むところです。
It's war.
ゆうくんは強すぎます。
Her stamina completely exhausted, Sachi trudges along at my side, moaning reproachfully. The limp, deflated shark float under her arm eloquently tells the tale of our fierce and tragic battle. You lost because you stayed on the shark until the bitter end. It severely limited your mobility.
一方、ゆうくんは長い間水中に身を潜めてからのゲリラ攻撃でしたから、出現予測も難しく。
It does sound like fun, though. Yeah, the simple application of underground tunnel strategy the VC adopted in reaction to the American reliance on Agent Orange and aerial bombing.
おかげでゆうくんの体力は底なしだということを思い知らされました。
It's weird how often he talks about Vietnam. Like, I understand it's maybe something that's relatable, and maybe he learned a lot about it from, like, his teachers at whatever the school thing he was doing before. But at the same time, it's, like, weird how many times he brings it up. Because it's, like, well before he was alive. Muttering to herself in a disappointed tone, Sachi drops limply to the sand and draws a few long, ragged breaths. After that lengthy struggle, I guess it's only natural that she'd be a little tired. That said, you've got nothing to be depressed about. You did pretty darn good to hang with me as long as you did.
ありがとうございます。
Feel like taking a short break? We can put playing with sand on hold for a while.
私なら大丈夫です。まだやれます。
Okay, calm down, calm down. It's okay to breathe. What, now she's bloodied boxer trying to convince me the referee for another round? So you say, but I just saw you more or less collapse onto the ground.
それでも平気です。あれは水かけ用の体力で、砂遊び用の体力はちゃんと温存してありますから。
Oh, so we have reserve tanks now installed, huh? Sure, fine. Let's leave it at that. Alright, since you're that determined, let's move to the sandcastle.
はい。前回来た時に見つけた絶好のサンドアートスポットがありますので、誰かに取られてしまわないうちに確保しましょう。
Is that really going to be an issue? Sachi pushes herself off the beach and strides off with newfound determination. Mumbling a few dubious words to myself, I follow in her wake.
それじゃあまたね、お姉ちゃん。
Aww.
う バイバイ。
目つきの悪い兄ちゃんもまたな。
Evil looking guy. Right. After changing back into our street clothes, we say goodbye and watch the children scamper up with their orange-dyed beach. To our side towers a structure that's less a child's sandcastle and more a genuine castle of sand. Apparently, Sachi missed her chance to build some castle or other the last time we were here, so the two of us began reconstructing it, but Sachi's silent, diligent labors, reminiscent of a well-trained recruit digging some massive ditch, quickly attracted a bustling crowd of curious children, and in the end we were integrated them into a large-scale operation. That's really cute. They didn't just, like, build and, like, have the kids watch. They genuinely were like, alright, start coordinating, and, like made a big thing with them. That's actually really fun. You're popular with the kids everywhere you go, aren't you?
私にその自覚はないのですが、マキちゃんは話しかけやすいオーラが出てると言っていました。
I mean, I can see that. An aura of approachability, huh? Come to think of it, I felt something like that when I met her as a child.
でも、あの子たちが手伝ってくれたおかげで、とても立派なお城が作れました。
Sachi gently runs a finger around one parapet of her masterpiece. Her expression is filled with the satisfaction of an artist who's fulfilled their goal, but also tinged with a defined hint of fatigue. Definite hint of fatigue. Looks like you used a lot of energy, though.
いえ、ベイちゃんも時間いっぱいまで私のことを見守ってくれていましたし、まだまだ大丈夫です。
Ala-chan? Is that one of the kids? I'm going to guess that Ala-chan is her whale shark. Not sure when it got a name, though.
見てください、ユウくん。海がとても綺麗です。
Yeah, with the setting sun and all?
前に来た時も思いましたが、やっぱりこういう景色は素敵ですね。
There really is something about it. It's like, it sounds so cheesy. If you've never had a chance to be at the open ocean at sunset, it really is something else. It's weird how impactful that is, but especially if you happen to be able to face the ocean looking to the west as the sun sets. Because when it sets over the water, it really has this really powerful effect. It's very pretty. Smiling fondly, Sachi stares off into the vividly colored horizon. Watching her face from the side, it's almost enough to make me forget about the burdens she's carrying. Hey, Sachi, did you have fun today?
はい。今日は私の人生の中で一番楽しかった日と言ってしまってもいいかもしれません。
Dang. We set a marker for you, huh? You enjoyed it that much.
はい。サメさんの浮き輪に乗って水かけっこをして、砂遊びでお城を作って。
That's cute, because she's saying, like, yeah, we play fighting in the water was genuinely fun, and building a castle gave you that fulfillment. It's hard to get both in a day.
まるで小さい頃にユウくんと公園で遊んでいた時のような楽しさを感じてしまいました。
Aww. Sachi's expresses her feelings in unusual detail, gesticulating enthusiastically. Her happiness is so obvious, I'm forced to give myself a mental pat on the back for inviting her. I see. That's definitely good to hear.
そういうユウくんは楽しかったですか？
Hadn't quite expected this question. For a moment, I'm at a loss for a response.
楽しくなかったですか？
No, I did enjoy myself. Wasn't that bad messing around like a kid again.
それなら良かったです。
But why'd you ask?
それは周りの反応ばかりを気にして自分の気持ちなんて考えていないようなところが昔のユウくんにはあったからです。
Oh, baby. Oh, she's got him nailed. Ooh, interesting. I feel like in the other routes, like, he kind of gets called out for this in part, but never so directly. That he gets so caught up in what's going on around him that he neglects his own feelings, which probably is a reflection of the training he's received as, like, a pseudo-soldier. So that's how Sachi saw me as a kid. Maybe I did, back then, but people do change. You used to be a tomboy who'd pull people around on the playground, remember?
そうですね。あの頃の私は本当に悪い子でしたから。
No, you weren't. You really think so?
はい。
As I suspected, Sachi's still plagued by regret. I'm more convinced than ever that she consciously blames herself for what happened. Her voice has grown thick with grief, as if she's barely suppressing the desire to shout out bitter apologies. Alright, guess that's enough reminiscing for one day. Let's get going before the buses stop running. But when I cut off the conversation, Sachi jerks her head up and stares into my eyes. Something wrong?
いえ、どうかしていません。
Feels like there is something she wants to say, but what? Like, is he right that she wants to apologize? Or what? Interesting. I wonder if... See, part of me would want to be like to sit down with her when she expresses that and be like, you like to have Yuji say like, hey, you like saved me. I was in a really dark place, and you at that time were exactly what I needed. You weren't a bad girl. You were exactly the kind of friend that I needed at the time. And while we parted ways in a really tragic way, I never stopped thinking of treasuring that moment of my life. I feel like he could say that, and I wonder what her reaction would be if he did. Okay then. Her reaction just now clearly suggested she has something to say, but I'm not going to drag it out of her. After a moment's pause, I begin to walk up the beach toward the nearby bus stop. Oh. Aww. What is this? How can this be so... What the fetch is this? What is this feeling? Like, they've like slept together. Yet this feels way more intimate. Whew. In that instant, I feel something pulling on me from behind. When I turn back, Sachi's reached out with one hand to grab my sleeve. I also never appreciated the height difference between them. This makes her look really young, but I don't think that's the impression that they're supposed to be giving here. Dang. Sachi? I call her name, but there's no immediate response. You have something you want to say? Aww.
まだ帰りたくありません。もっともっとゆうくんと一緒に遊んでいたいです。
Oh. I don't want to go home yet. I want to play with you more. I feel like she's tapping into her youth right now. Maybe wanting to say... Maybe she's kind of going back to that time and saying what she wishes she'd said before they parted ways. But not just that, though. Again, it's this I want. Has she ever actually said I want anything up until this point? In response to my decisive let's get going, she offers outright resistance. There's no real logic behind her objection. It's a selfish, emotional demand and nothing more. But that's freaking huge! To hear such words coming from Sachi's mouth is so surprising, I find myself entirely lost for an answer. And even as the silence stretches on, her hand maintains its timid but steady grip on the sleeve of my shirt. Sachi. Her face is downcast, her eyes avoiding mine. I can't make out her expression, but I can tell that her cheeks have grown red. Normally speaking, this would be nothing but a cute moment of selfishness, the sort of thing girlfriends are generally entitled to, but in this case, it represents a serious violation of Sachi's internal rules. I understand what you're saying. So could you let go of me for a second?
すみません。今すぐに。
My words finally snap Sachi out of this little reverie, and she jerks her hand back as if bitten by a snake.
すみません。私、自分でわがままを言うのは悪い子だって言っておきながら、あんなことを。
This is gonna be a delicate situation here. What do you say? What do you say to that? Because it's like, that's so okay, Sachi, you have no idea, but like, how do you tell that in a way that she won't like recoil from?
今のは完全に私の失言ですので、ゆうくんも忘れてください。
Sachi bows in flustered apology, her voice tinged with regret. Judging from her reaction, it's obvious that her behavior right now was a pure spur-of-the-moment reflex. She clearly hadn't seen it coming any more than I had. Okay, I understand that was a slip on your part, but I can't promise you I'll forget it. Tell me something. If you knew it was a bad thing to do, why'd you grab my clothes in the first place?
それはゆうくんと一緒にいるのが楽しかったからだと思います。
This is a good response. He's trying to like walk her through her own thought process. It's actually very similar to what a counselor does. It's like, it might seem weird, but one of the best things about going to counseling is the fact that they really can just, they give you such a calm and all they do is they walk you through your own thought process and make you ask yourself questions. And that can really help you get perspective on stuff. It really help you find that stupid line you never knew was going on. And it sounds so silly and it can feel, especially when you first go, like, what was the point of that whole conversation? And yet it works. There's a reason there's a whole industry around it. It's not because it's some kind of scam. It's because like you walk away after, especially after a few times, and you just suddenly see it. You see what's been right in front of your nose the entire time. Even so, there's no way you would have said anything like that before.
それはそうかもしれません。
So why now? Why do you think you said that, Sachi?
それは自分でもわかりません。
So you haven't quite realized it yet, huh? Not consciously, at least. Okay, Sachi. I want to have a serious conversation.
真面目な話ですか?
Yeah. If Sachi's ever going to regain what she needs to be whole again, this is where things have to start. This is my chance. Silently steeling myself, I stared directly into Sachi's eyes. Do you remember what I told you on the rooftop?
学園の屋上でということは、私たちが付き合うことになった日のことでしょうか?
Yeah, I told you I was going to help you be yourself, right?
はい、あの日の言葉はしっかりと覚えています。
Sachi closes her eyes as if to recall the scene in question. In other words, Sachi, I was saying that right now, you're not yourself.
私じゃない。
That's right. Blaming yourself entirely for events from your past, focused on being the perfect good girl than anyone else? Never asking for anything, keeping tight lid on your own thoughts, obeying every order you receive like some kind of robot? That's the person you are today.
じゃあ、もしかしてゆうくんは私に何があったのかを。
Of course. I know about the accident on your birthday, and I know how you've lived since then. That said, I'm not going to tell you the path you chose was wrong. Why do you look so surprised?
だって今の私が私でいられていないとしたら、それはいけないことだって言われると思ったから。
I think the point is, even if I do think that, which I do, but the point isn't that I think that. It's what you think that matters. If you are happy with the way you live, even if people disagree with it, if you are happy with it and you make that choice, that's what matters. But you need to know that it's a choice rather than an obligation. Well, from a normal perspective, maybe it would be, but unfortunately, I'm pretty warped myself. I don't want to judge you. I just want you to realize something.
気づいてほしいだけ?
Yeah. In other words, you have to find the answer on your own.
自分で考える.
Why do you make that selfish request just now? What do I want you to realize? And finally, how should you live from now on? I love that. That's really good, because that's the whole point. He can't just tell her what's probably best for her, because that's the whole, like, telling her that would just perpetuate the problem. She has to come to the conclusion herself. She can't be told it. She can't be fed it. She can't even have it be directly implied. She has to understand that the point is that she makes the choice. This is a formal request, and I know full well you can't turn it down. You're a good girl who does what she's told, right? In other words, you're not going to refuse.
それは
That said, I don't care how long it takes for you to figure it out. It shouldn't be an unreasonable demand since there's no deadline.
確かにその通りですが。
So, do you accept?
はい、わかりました。
I feel like we're in for a battle for the next few days for sure, but I feel like this is a good start. Thanks. It's a familiar exchange. Since I entered Mahima Academy, I've heard it dozens of times. Faced with a request for help, Sachi nods her head and answers with the word yes, certainly. The gears shift in her head, and a new task assumes top priority. Secure in the knowledge that my order has taken effect, I once more begin to walk up the beach. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, so the request is she needs to find the answer to why she made the selfish request, what did she realize, and how should you live from now on. On the bus back to Mishima Cape, I was sit side by side in silence, gazing out windows the whole way. It's a slightly unfortunate way to finish the beach date Sachi had been so enthusiastic about, but in exchange, we've taken a crucial step forward. For the first time, the pathological good girl was outright selfish. In return, I offered her 3 cryptic questions. And what's more, she learned that I'm familiar with her past. All of these events undoubtedly caught Sachi by surprise. Her head's likely packed full of questions, her mood unsettled and anxious. And I have a sneaking suspicion that the nightmares are going to resume tonight. She's confronting a change in herself that she can't understand and struggling to decipher the meaning of the problem I've set for her. And in these matters, there's no mathematical formula to apply in order to get a correct solution. No simple cause and effect like pulling a trigger to kill a human being. For that very reason, Sachi has to find the answer herself. To realize what she's overlooking. That's her only chance to regain something like normality. Oh boy. I think it's gonna get really heavy. I'm not gonna stop here, even though that's like the perfect stopping point, but we got some more time. We'll go at least a little longer, even if it ends up being a bit of an awkward place. But fetch me. Some heavy stuff. And everyday life is like a tower of blocks built by a child. In other words, a random assortment of materials in all sizes, shapes, and kinds thrown together haphazardly into a structure that just barely manages to stay balanced. When even a single block starts to tremble, the whole tower will begin to teeter dangerously, placing especially heavy stress on the pieces closest to the disturbance. And the more crucial that block is to the stability of the whole, the more severe the disruption.
どうしよう、あまね。デイブ教授とマグロマンのフィギュアで遊んでたら、デイブ教授の腕がもげてしまったのよ。もげたって、どんな遊び方したらそんな風になるのよ。一種格闘技戦。マグロマンにアルゼンチンバックブリーカーかけようとしたら、デイブの腕がうまく曲がらなくて。
Well, that's what you get for having unsanctioned MMA tournaments.
まあ、そうなったら瞬間接着剤でくっつけるしかないんだろうけど、今持ってたかな。ないの？ダメなの？デイブ石腕になっちゃうの？それは大丈夫。私が持ってなくてもきっとさっちゃんが。ってそっか。
Amane stops halfway through her sentence with a glance toward the window where Sachi stands in full maid uniform gazing vacantly out at the scenery. After returning from our date 3 days ago, the girl's been constantly looking off into the distance with this dazed demeanor of some grizzled old soldier who's just discovered the war ended 5 years ago.
おはようさっちゃん。今日はいい天気ね。
はい。今日の三島崎の天気は晴れのち曇りで、降水確率は 20% だそうです。
We kind of broke her, didn't we? I mean, it's okay. It's like she's in boot mode, I feel like. If you ever had that really scary time where like your computer does something funky or has a really goofy update or something and you have to like do like a hard reset and kind of reformat everything, I guess. And you just like stare at that like really low like because the initial boot up sequence screen when you go into like the hard hard compiling mode and the, I guess you could almost say like safety mode, like safety start. I don't know the proper terms. I'm not a computer guy, if you can't tell. But it's where you go into like core functionality before you activate the proper OS, like before you're into the actual integrated systems. And it has like the low, like old school text scrolling, and you're like trying delicately not to accidentally break something while you're hoping that the computer can reestablish itself and like be able to open and start again. Especially if you have to do something like a reset. We had an incident where it wasn't me, but somebody in the house downloaded something that was questionable. We didn't know if it was technically a bad thing, but immediately I was seeing signs that it could have been something bad, and so I had to do a kind of a restoration on the old computer, and it's scary when you're first booting it back up, and it behaves like the computer's like really used to, like the way that they scroll, the way that they have the fonts, the way that everything kind of compiles together. Like obviously it's a modern machine, but like it'll feel like the old school, like where you're going back in time, and it's like kind of nerve-wracking because it's not behaving in any way you normally see a computer behave. And that's what Sachi's doing. She's in kind of boot mode, restoration patching.
そっか。じゃあお布団干しちゃった方がいいかもね。
ついでに大根やアジなんかも干してみるのもいいかもしれませんね。
Aww.
そうね。
That said, she still answers when you talk to her directly, if a bit oddly. Apparently she's just lost in thought. At first of the others to realize Sachi's abnormal condition was Michiru, understandably enough considering she's dependent on the girl's help for the good third of her daily routine. But her vague report that Sachi is acting kinda weird spread throughout our small dormitory in the blink of an eye. After that 3 straight days of this odd behavior, everyone's obviously begun to treat her their communal maid a little gingerly, generally refraining from their normal barrage of requests.
やっぱりコンビニまで買いに行こっか。
サッチンなら絶対持ってるって分かってるのに、外まで買いに行くのはめんどくさいのよさ。
I've never heard of the term a limited supply of effort, but that's such a good phrase. I need to start using that in my daily life. Got your glue right here. Stopping the pair just as they're making their way toward the front door, I hold up a small tube of super glue.
ユージ。
さすがお兄ちゃん。伊達にサッチンの彼氏をやってないのよさ。
While we're at it, I'll reattach Professor Dave's arm for you.
ほんと？いいの？
Yeah, I'm not a surgeon, but I've got experience suturing level 2 lacerations. Leave it to me.
縫合の経験がどう役に立つのかわかんねえけど、すげえ説得力な。
Yeah. Don't look at me like that. I know you know exactly what's probably happening here, and that it's absolutely my fault, and I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I provide the clue they needed, and even reattached the good professor's arm. Normally this would be a satisfactory resolution to the matter, but Amade seems to decline to give me a pat on the back. Of course, I did give everyone a rough explanation once they know Sachi's strange behavior, but since I deliberately stayed vague on the details, it seems I haven't quite convinced them to passively sit on their hands. Got something to say? I'll listen.
言いたいことっていうか、ユージはこれからどうするつもりなの？
Didn't I already explain this? Until Sachi finds the answer on her own, I'm going to stand by and watch over her.
でもそれじゃあ、一生答えが出ないってこともあるわけでしょ？
Can't deny the possibility exists.
それに、さっちゃんがずっとあんな感じだと、いろいろと問題も出てくるし。
Like what, specifically?
みちるがカップラーメンしか食べなくなる。
Alright. First of all, technically, that is a Michiru problem. She could just learn to be a normal person again. It seems harsh considering she's got her demons for sure, but at the same time, it's like, we all know Michiru is capable. Michiru just needs to believe in Michiru. And of course, there's a whole journey for that, and don't blame her for it. But at the same time, it's like, Sachi should be allowed to have the space that she needs to work on herself.
昨日はお気に入りの服を洗濯機に破かれたって騒いでたのよさ。
I see. So first of all, Michiru is going to hit a lifestyle crisis.
言い換えれば、さっちゃんの頑張りはそれだけみんなの生活を支えてたってことでしょ？
Can't deny Amane has a point. Apart from looking after the care and feeding of Michiru, what is she, an animal? Sachi's been more or less single-handedly maintaining the faculties of the school. In terms of her duty, she's led the class rep and more of a she's less a class rep and more of a diligent janitor. With no one playing that role, it's all too clear that the campus as a whole will soon be experiencing all sorts of difficulties. Understood. I'll take over the miscellaneous duties she'd normally be taking care of.
でも、それで私たちが困らなくなったとしても、さっちゃんがあのままなのは変わらないわけよね。
Well, probably not.
せっかくユージの彼女が板についてきて、最近は嬉しそうにしてることも多くなってきたのに。
Amane, I know what you're saying, but here's the thing. I agree with Yuji. I really feel like this is the precipice of a really important change that could lead her being, like, genuinely happy for probably the rest of her life.
あんな風に考え込んじゃってるところを見せられちゃうとね。
She needs it. She needs this.
一番の友達と自負している私としても、元気のないサチンを見てるのはここ。
I see. Even more than their words, the expression on their faces convey the concern for Sachi. I can understand their feelings, not that I'm planning to change course, but if this situation drags on too long, I'll have to consider trying to push things along.
ちょっとあまねー、大浴場の床がなんかヌメヌメするんだけど、あんたお風呂で変なもの使ったりしてないでしょうね。
I don't know what's more disturbing. The fact that she apparently has never understood that a bathroom floor can get slimy, or that she somehow decided that the first most likely reason was Amane did something.
んなわけないでしょうが。じゃあどうしてヌメヌメってしてるのよ。
Probably because it hasn't been cleaned.
そうか、今週は業者さんも夏休みで寮の清掃が入らないんだっけ？
サチがやってくれてる掃除はもともと慈善事業みたいなもんだしね。じゃあサチがカムバックするまでヌメヌメするお風呂で我慢するしかないか。
Or you could wash the bath. You know? Maybe just once?
ごめん、あんたは自分で掃除しようって気にはならないの？
Thank you, Amane.
だって面倒くさいし、床滑るし、床滑るし。
Ichiru.
お風呂の掃除やろうとすると、チルチルはいつも転んでタンクブ作るもんな。これはもうお告げね。私は一生お風呂掃除をしなくていいっていう神のお告げなのよ。ねえ、沸いてる？チルチル沸いてるの？お湯なんて沸かしてないわよ。
What a beautiful response to that question.
みちる、あんた。
何その目。なんで哀れむ感じで見られてるの私。
Alright, I'll take care of the grand bath.
掃除なら私も手伝えるしね。
もちろん私も手伝うのよ。
You're just gonna be goofing around the whole time, but I appreciate it.
みんなで掃除をやるって言うなら私も手伝うし、ユージがサチの代わりをやるのもいいけど、だったらサチ自体をなんとかしなさいよ。あんたサチの彼氏でしょ。
You know what? I can get behind that attitude. I think he is. Like, we're definitely on the right track, and like, she needs to have this time and space to work things out. But I do think that, I do think he is in the right here. I know where you're coming from, but this self-reflection is a phase Sachi has to go through right now.
それは前も聞いたけど、あんたはサチがかわいそうだと思わないの？
Wouldn't say I pity her, but I'm aware that I'm making her go through something harsh.
自覚はあるって。あんたが何もしないなら私がサチに頼んで。
Listen to me, Michiru. As an angry scowl spreads across Michiru's face, I grab her by the shoulders and stare directly into her eyes. Yeah, if someone goes up to Sachi and says stop worrying so much, she'll return to normal, but she's in this school for a reason. And if we pull back now because it's hard to watch her struggle, she's never gonna get out. Try to understand.
何よ。そんなに辛そうな顔して正論を言われたら、私がダダを言ってる子供みたいじゃない。
Well, you kind of are, but at least you're understanding that, like, this is serious, and, like, hopefully you can agree that it really would be for the best if she could become a person. It's sad to say that, but she genuinely was just kind of an automaton. She's been expressing her own desires recently. We need that to keep moving forward. Sorry, I do understand you're all genuinely worried about her. Apparently, the three of them understand my way of thinking. I wouldn't say that they're entirely satisfied, but there are no further objections. Anyway, the thing with Sachi is probably going to cause everyone some problems for a while, but try to bear with it for now.
わかったわよ。もうなんとかしろとか言わない。そうね。もともと私たちがさっちゃんに頼りすぎてたところもあるし、襟を正すいい機会かも。
Good attitude.
サッチンのためになるって言うなら、私も頑張ってみるのよさ。
I mean, it's like you gotta admit, the fact that there's even, that this is even happening is a huge win. Right. Looks like we've reached a tentative understanding. In that case, I'm going to start off by cleaning the grand bath.
あ、だったら私も。
Appreciate the offer, but let me handle it on my own this time.
ってもう言っちゃったか。ユージのやつどういうつもりよ。大浴場一人で掃除するって結構大変なのに。
I think they might not realize how painful this probably is for Yuuji too. He's gambling, and the outcome is really personal. I think he's personally struggling because he desperately wants to do something like Michiru, and he's holding himself back, and he's trying to hold them back, and now he feels responsible, so he wants to take care of everything. And I feel like it's all just a lot. Because remember how, like Sachi just pointed out, how he tends to ignore his own feelings. I think he's still doing that now. I feel like he's kind of overwhelmed and doesn't really know what to do with himself. And so he wants to go clean the bath, and he wants to do it by himself. And I get that. Sometimes you just really, really need to do something on your own.
もしかしたらユージなりに責任を感じてるんじゃないかな。責任？ほら、さっちゃんに課題を出したのはユージなわけだし、その分なるべく私たちには負担をかけたくないって思ってるんじゃない？だとしたらあいつも人のこと言えないくらい面倒な性格してるわよ。
それにお兄ちゃんが一番サッチンのことを心配してるはずなのよ。
Yeah.
そうね。じゃあさ、そっとしておいてあげる以外で私たちがサチの力になれることってないの？力になるって言ってもさっちゃんが何に悩んでるのかがわからないとね。
You could just help take care of her stuff. Like the stuff that she used to do.
だったらサッチンに聞いてみればいいんじゃね？どんな課題出されたのって。
ああ、そっか。
Careful.
ちょっと待って。それってなんか反則のような気もするんだけど。だとしてもまずは聞いてみないとわからないでしょ。もしかしたらあまねさんみたいな無駄にエロい人には教えられませんって言われるかもしれないんだし。にじるいだだだだ。ごめん、私が悪かったからやめて。グリグリしないで。出る。お味噌出ちゃうから。まあ私も力になりたい気持ちは同じだし、ここはどうしたらいいか相談してみよっか。相談するって誰によ。
それはもちろんプロフェッサー Y に決まってるのよさ。
Who? Oh,
という
Yumiko.
わけでみんなで協議し合った結果、私たちはあなたにおせっかいを焼くことに決めたわ。
Oh, you have you?
おせっかい
Oh.
ですか？そう。風見くんとのデートから帰ってきた後に小峰さんの様子が変になったのは明らかだし、風見くんからも少なからず事情は聞いているわ。サチには課題を出したって。そうでしたか。だから小峰さんがその課題のことで悩んでいるなら相談に乗らせてもらえないかと思って。
Ah, that's a good approach, Yumiko.
相談。ここなら急に風見くんが通りかかるという可能性も低いし、同じ女性同士 腹を割って話し合えると思うの。
確かにそうかもしれませんが。
もしかしてユージに言っちゃダメって言われてた？
いえ、それは言われていません。
よし、これで第一関門突破ね。
安心するのはまだ早いわ。口止めされていなくても私たちに話してくれるかどうかは小峰さん次第よ。
そっか。どう？サチ、私たちに話していいって思う？
Be careful. Don't order her to.
それは。
小峰さん、私たちは無理強いをしてまであなたの悩みが聞きたいわけではないの。一人のクラスメイトとして、友人として、あなたが相談してもいいと思えたら
Thank you.
話してくれればいいから。
Yumiko's got a good head on her shoulders for this. I think she understands the delicate nature of this, at least enough. Because she's keeping this line pretty well straddled.
わかりました。私も数日考えて答えが出ないままですし、このままではゆうくんや皆さんに迷惑をかけ続けてしまいます。ですから皆さんの知恵を貸してください。
ええ、もちろん。
というのがゆうくんからの課題です。
Yeah, not easy.
私何か変なことを言ったでしょうか？
いいえ、変なことというより、ユージの出した課題にとても簡単なことと全くわからないものが混じってて。
Yeah.
確かにそんな感じよね。
あの課題の中に簡単なものがあったんですか？
She's like, are you serious? All of them have been causing me problems.
まあそれも私たちの考えが合っていればなのだけれど。
それでも構いません。ぜひ皆さんの見解を聞かせてください。
じゃあ一度話を整理させてもらうけど、さっちゃんが出された課題は、この間のデートでどうしてわがままを言ったのかと、ユージが何に気づいてほしいのかを当てるってことでいいのよね。
Yeah. So I guess the one they think is obvious is like, so why were you selfish on the date? The obvious answer would be like, well, you have a crush, you love him, like. But I feel like it goes deeper than that, and that's why she needs to think about it.
はい、ゆうくんは確かにそう言っていました。
で、私たちが簡単だと思ってるのは、わがままを言った理由の方でいいのよね。
そっちの答えはすぐに分かったし。
いいさっちゃん。今まではそんなことなかったのに、この前のデートで初めてわがままを言った。
I don't like the word spoiled there. It's not spoiled to like have your own desires. That's not spoiled. Spoiled is expecting that your desires are more important than anything else, including other people's desires. That's what being spoiled.
それはさっちゃんがそれだけユージのことを好きになったからよ。
私がゆうくんのことを好きに？
そう、さっちゃんがわがままを言ったのは、ユージと遊んでいるのが楽しくて、もっとこの時間が続いてほしいって思ったからでしょ？
はい、その通りです。
それはユージのことが好きじゃなきゃ思わないことだもの。
I still feel like that's a bit too simple an answer.
じゃあ私はゆうくんのことが好きなんでしょうか？
サチ、今さら何言ってんの？
だって私、自分がゆうくんのことを好きなのかよくわからなかったから。
あのね、サチ。じゃあ、ユージから買ってもらった服を着たいと思ったのはなんで？
それに最後までしてくれなかったことが気になったのも。もっと言えば、教室の席をユージのそばに移したのも。
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was ages ago.
もしそれがゆうくんのことを好きだという証拠なら。
Not in a single data point, but you can chart a line of correlation with all of them. They're all points. Put them together and it tells a story.
私はもうずいぶん前からゆうくんのことが好きだったということになります。
て、じゃあサッチンはお兄ちゃんのことが好きだっていう自覚がなかったのに彼女になってたの？
Machina, it's Sachi. She would, unfortunately, in her state, would have rolled with that if a random stranger had asked her in the right way, which is terrifying. But that shouldn't be too surprising.
うん。ゆうくんがなってほしいって言ってたし、私も嫌じゃなかったから。
嫌じゃないって、さすがにこの鈍さだとユージにも同情しちゃうわね。
You should. This is not an easy thing he's been going through. Worth it, absolutely. Not easy, though.
確かに。
すみません。私の察しが悪いせいで、皆
No.
さんにご迷惑を。
だからって謝る必要はないけど、私たちの言いたいことはなんとなく伝わった？
はい。付き合い始めた頃より、私がゆうくんのことを好きになったから、ということですよね。
I almost don't like that, though, because I feel like it's deeper than that. It's like, yeah, those emotions are absolutely the core of, like, the motivation behind it. But what was it that was different that made her step out and say it? Because she's got to have other things that she wants. I guess that's the other thing. The big point I think she needs to understand, she feels something, that she wants something, that it's her own, that it's not something that someone told her to have. No one told her, love Yuuji. She decided that, and she needs to understand that. That's what I think Yuuji wants her to understand. Not that the love exists, but that the love came from her own self, but not because someone told her.
そういうこと？
ってことは、これで課題の一つはクリアってことじゃない？
No, I don't think so.
だといいのですが。
その代わりに、もう一つの課題が難問なのよさ。
そうね。風見くんが小峰さんに気づいてほしいことというくくりでは、
はい。そちらに関しては、私も見当すらつけられない感じでして。
だとしたら、時間をかけて考えていくしかないのかも。
つまり、答えが出るまでこういう会議を開いていくってわけね。
私は嬉しいのですが、そんなに協力してもらっていいんでしょうか。
Hey, I say, like, look, you want the help? Take the help.
そんなの当たり前じゃない。私たちの方から相談に乗らせてくれって頼んでるのよ。
みちる様。
そういうわけだから、私にもどんどん相談してほしいのよ。
Aww.
マキちゃん。
それじゃあ小峰さん、この会議はこれから定期的に開いていくということで問題ないわね。
I just realized, remember I was talking about how powerful counseling is, even if you feel like it's like nothing? They've just accidentally made a consulting group. They just accidentally made like a oh, what do you call it? It's like Alcoholics Anonymous. The whole idea is like you make a community that's just there to support each other, because you can help pull through people just by having people around to listen and having people around who care. It can help so much, even if it's only in a like it feels like it's a symbolic thing. Like just knowing that they're there can make a huge difference. And I think that's really cool.
はい。こちらこそよろしくお願いします。
That's awesome. What good friends. Oh, wow. So Yuuji was busy cleaning the entire time that entire whole thing transpired. That's crazy. All right. I'm sure this is kind of a weird break point, because I'm sure it's going to roll right into like the after effects. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Sachi bursts in to help clean and be like, oh, you already cleaned. Like that she's going to start going back to her normal routine with this, moral boost that she's just got. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we're going to stop here just because it's a good length. It's going a bit long, and that's okay. Thank you so much for joining me today. What a cool episode. I loved the date. Like, I had a feeling I would love the date. I did. I loved everything about that. Ooh. It's making a real good push for being top tier content for this game, at least. I'm enjoying it immensely. I'm also enjoying the other routes. I am trying to play catch up. I want to try to make sure I've played the entire game by the time we get to the end of this, so I can just talk about it in full. I've been doing pages of notes, doing all that kind of crazy stuff. It's been really fun. But yeah, I still need to give some pile drive time to it all because, my gosh, this game is dense. It's great, but it's like, there's so much content. If we tried to cover every single route on the channel, I could be doing this for another year easily, just because of how much stuff is going on with the other routes too. It's kind of incredible, actually. But anyway, I just want to make sure I give it a thorough like explanation and impressions and be able to just have an informed opinion about the entire game by the time we finish it. And I'm really grateful for your willingness to listen to me, to being able to join me and hear what I think, and to just support me, especially if you support me directly with Patreon or the membership on YouTube. Thank you. I owe you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Please, like, don't feel obligated, obviously. Like, do what you want, but if you do support me, I'm gonna do my darndest to make the channel better in every way possible. Anything you do share goes directly back into the channel to hopefully help make it better, to help give the content the best chance it has to be able to be shared and that we can enjoy it together. So thank you so much. But even just watching and being a part of this journey with me is more than enough support, so thank you so much for just being here and listening. I've got a lot to do. I'm still playing catch up, and like I said, with my schedule, life is getting a lot more chaotic and a lot more busy. And that's okay. Like, it needs to. It's about time. Now that I'm feeling better, I need to really sink my teeth into some major projects and work and everything, but it will mean it's harder to juggle this stuff. But I'm determined. I'm determined to make it happen. So let's keep at it. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me and just being able to share your thoughts. I look forward to reading your comments on this one too. It was really fun. But until next video, watch me or see me in next. I'll see you there.